Okay, so we're just gonna start right where we were. Um, we established earlier that Joseph spent 93 years in Egypt. We must, however, whittle this 93-year period down to 83 years. We'll go over why shortly. The connection is something important that happened to Joseph when he was 27. If we add 83 years to 126 years, which was the time span wherein the 18th dynasty had enslaved the children of Israel from Pharaoh Amos the first to Tutmosis the third, the combined total of the both dates would be almost 210 years. If we add the time the Hyksos and Israelites ruled to this number, we would have 320 years. Most historians would likely not have warm feelings for the idea that the Hyksos were the Israelites. Probably they would not accept it if they ever heard the idea. We still have about 100 years to account for if we are to verify that the children of Israel were in Egypt for 400 plus years. I believe it, of course, but without verification, it will, to some who take Hebrews 11 seriously, 11:1 seriously, not be a problem. And to those in academia, it will seem like the horse with no cart at all, and to the general public, it might seem like hearsay. So I forgot to put something up there. So we added 83 years to which was how old Aaron was at the Exodus, to 126 years, which is how long the 18th dynasty had enslaved the children of Israel. Okay. All right. For these reasons, the effort surrounding the use of the flashlight method is much more extensive than I had assumed it would be in the beginning, when Brian and I were batting around good ideas for what a person in heaven for a day would experience, along with ancient Egyptian and Bible history being in the equation. Nevertheless, it is prayer and the flashlight method that will be the tool to verify this and the answers to many other questions. A look at the lineage of Levi will help us to find, among other things, the other 100 years that would make up the full 430 years that Exodus 12:40 talks about regarding the children of Israel's sojourn in the land of Egypt. And so, on to Joseph and Levi. It's important to note that the lineage of Levi will bring up the rear and that we will cover more Egyptian history first. The question of Levi's generation equaling 430 years needs answering. It is a good question. How can we get 430 years from 3 generations? Levi, Kohath, and Amram. Okay. The question of Levi's generation equaling 430 years needs answering. As some have logically answered, questioned, how can you get 430 years from 3 generations? To put the response to this question on firmer ground, we will again need to look at Egyptian history in a bit. But first, more of the Bible. The Bible tells us in Exodus 6:16 that when Levi died, he was 137 years old. We know that the priestly privileges were granted to him. Reuben disqualified himself, and so did Simeon, who was likely the mastermind behind the slaughter of the citizens of Shechem. Judah became the prince of his brothers, and Joseph was given the double portion. Unfortunately, there are no concurrent dates mentioned for anyone else regarding the age at which Levi died. If we look at the biblical account of the children of Israel, we get the impression that they were born one after another in quick succession. There were 12 brothers and 1 sister, though we're not told where Dinah is in the lineup. Levi was the third born, and Joseph was the 11th born, so far as we know. It is logical, looking at the lineup of brothers, to say that Levi would have been around 10 to 12 years older than Joseph. From what we know about Joseph, is it possible to say when he was born? Can we attach any kind of date to him? We are able to establish that Moses was most likely born in or around 1505 BC, and we know that Exodus 12:40 tells us that the sojourn of the children of Israel was 430 years, and the date for the end of the reign of Tutmosis is 1425. So we add 430 to 1425, and we go back in time to 1855 BC, which would have been the date when the 430 years would have begun. What significant event happened in 1855 BC? Is it related to the 83 years we mentioned earlier? The reign of Amenemhet III is likely to have started in 1859 to 1860 BC,